How's it going, folks? Welcome back to Talking Wolves and welcome back to the first transfer video, you could say, of the summer in terms of a player almost definitely coming in to the club. Today we're going to be talking about Yerson Mosquera, the Colombian defender who looks close to signing to Wolves this summer and could well be Bruno Lage's first signing. We're going to be talking about what we know about him so far, and then of course going to be getting an expert opinion on him as well, so stay tuned for that. But story first broke actually about a couple of weeks ago. It was from Nicolo Scherer, the Italian journalist. And believe it or not, this guy gets a lot of stick, but he has broken little stories like this before. And as far as I'm aware, he was the first one to break this. And then very late last night, Colombian journalists said that Mosquera is going to be travelling to Portugal for his medical examinations ahead of a move to Wolves. I'd assume that's due to Brexit and COVID and the isolation and coming into the country and so on. But yeah, he's going to be going to Portugal for his medicals, and then very quickly and very early this morning, the likes of Joe Edwards and John Percy from the Telegraph also reporting that it's very close. So it looks like it's going to be a deal for around £4.5 million. I've seen some articles say it could be up to £6 million as well. And you can also read many articles saying that this probably wouldn't be possible before the Brexit rules changed at the start of the year. It's actually made buying players from the likes of South America that little bit easier. We saw Jeff Shee talking in the Ask Wolves series a little bit more about Wolves' sort of vision of South America and North America and Asia, and tapping into those markets a little bit more for players. And I think this is probably the first real one of us showing that, and real sort of intention of us looking into those sorts of markets. We have, of course, signed the likes of Leonardo Campana from that neck of the woods before, of course him being from Ecuador. But it's going to be interesting. Now, my first initial reaction was that he's probably going to be used to either send out on loan to Grasshoppers or Famalicão in Portugal, but it looks likely, or it seems likely, that he's going to be in the first team frame at Wolves. According to John Percy and Joe Edwards, he's going to be in the first team squad or in and around the squad in England this coming season. So exciting times. Now I'm going to pass over to Simon, who I spoke to earlier on today, who's got a much better knowledge on Mosquera and what we can expect and what he's like as a player. So I am delighted now to be alongside Mr. Simon Edwards, who I'm sure is going to know a little bit more about Yerson Mosquera. Simon, thanks a lot for jumping on. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Very well. Here in Medellin, he's a player who's been playing for one of the big clubs here in the city. So I've seen him quite a lot over the last 2 years, and I know him a little bit personally as well. So I can give you a bit of background and hopefully give you an idea of what you're getting, because I think it's good. So we'll
Brilliant. Well, before we kick off, let the listeners know, what is it that you do in Colombia?
Yeah, so I work as a journalist. I manage the English language content for the Copa Libertadores. I'm also the editor for the Copa America. I also work with some agencies and players. So Yerson is not one I've been involved in, but one perhaps I would like to have been. So I'm a fan.
Yeah, brilliant. So what can you tell us about him? Like what's he done in his past, and what's his football career been like up to this summer?
Yeah, sure. So he comes from Turbo. He comes from kind of quite a simple area of Colombia. His uncle was a player. He played for the team that his uncle set up and owned, and then moved briefly into Colombia, and then joined Atlético Nacional at quite a young age. 2018, I think he first started playing for the Nacional first team, involved in the Nacional squad. He initially came through as a striker. Was really quick as a striker, then moved further back into midfield, moved further back into to defense. It's Yerson rather than Yerson. Yerson Mosquera.
Yerson. Okay.
The Y is kind of a J in Spanish, so Yerson. And well, he was known as Jay as a kid. Now with the Nacional first team, he's often called Jerry because he's a massive, giant central defender, Colombian, jovial kind of guy. He's a really friendly, kind of always smiling, always giggling. But then he gets on the field and he's very strong, very assertive, very professional. Off the field, he's a very friendly guy, confident, but a little bit kind of shy and giggly as well in his demeanor. He's just a really nice guy, a really easygoing guy. A guy who's really easy to get along with. So I think he'll fit in nicely in that regard. So joined Nacional in 2018. I first became aware of him on the field in 2020 at the start of the year. There was a pre-season tournament. He played quite a few games. Looked very interesting. And he's really developed a lot since then. One thing that's been very important in his development is his physical development. So you'll see he's tall. He looks a little bit lanky, like he's long legs. Well, that was even more true early 2020. He's done a lot of work. So he was working a lot in the gym, been working with Juan Pablo Angel as well, who's been helping his physical development. Now, if you see Juan Pablo Angel, that's a guy to work in the gym with. I'm a bit jealous. Despite being twice my age, he's still a bit of a pin-up here in South America. So it's a good guy to work with. And that really helped build his strength and his physicality. And that's been a massive part of his development. So, while he still looks tall and he's got long legs and his legs are fairly thin, his physical strength is much improved. He has kind of explosiveness to add to his overall speed, which is quite significant. And he's very strong. So in terms of style, and I'll let you ask some questions in a minute as well. I'm a bit excited about my boy.
That's absolutely fine, mate. No, carry on.
So in terms of style, there's the Jerry Mina comparison, which I think is fair in terms of his natural physical build, his height, his strength, his overall speed. But I think he has some more agility and more, pace and acceleration than Jerry. And then he's come through at the same club as Davinson Sanchez and is a kind of a physical, assertive defender. So there's comparisons there. But with Davinson, I'd say Jerry's a bit more level-headed, a bit more composed, a bit more tidy than Davinson. But yeah, so he came into he made his Nacional first team debut, professional competitive debut, again in the Copa Sudamericana. Up against Mateo Cerezo, I believe, who's another one of these wonder kids, maybe known for manager.
Yeah.
And he absolutely dominated that game. Had an incredible first half. Suddenly, all the fans are talking about who the hell is this kid? This kid is amazing. And then you got a red card, straight red. End of the first half, straight red. But I think the compliment that I could make is, well, one, it wasn't a red. It was a nothing. There's nothing in it. But the biggest compliment I think you can take from that is that after the game, everyone said he was man of the match. If you get sent off in the first half and you're still considered everyone's man of the match, I think that shows what a special quality he is. I think he's a very interesting player. Great composure, great technique on the ball, has all of the physical attributes. In terms of potential weaknesses, again, when you're really tall, there's always that question about agility in the box and that first yard and whether that will be a concern. That's something I think he'll have to manage. When you buy a 1.9 meter central defender, that's obviously not what you're going to expect. The agility. So that for me is perhaps the concern. I think physically he's done very well to kind of address those kind of issues, and I think he'll do well generally. But that's perhaps one thing to look at. And the other is, it's a young central defender. There'll be the occasional slip up, but overall, what has struck me is his composure and his game intelligence. So. Yeah, I like him, basically.
No, I really appreciate that. There's a couple of questions that I want to ask. Probably the first one would be, let's go with the value. So it's rumoured at the moment it's about £4.5 million. Do you think that's a good deal for Wolves, good deal for his club, or, both sides getting a good deal? Is it a steal for Wolves, or do you think they're getting more than they should for him, basically?
No, I think that's a very good price. Now, look, he's playing in Colombia. And obviously, Colombian clubs are not able to command the same kind of fees as Brazilian clubs. If he was in Brazilian, you add a zero to the cost. A conservative price. He's the starting U20 national team central defender. He's played every game in the Copa Libertadores. He's a clear standout performer in the Colombian league. There's talk already that he's going to be in the future a Colombian national team central defender, and that's a strong area for Colombia as well. I think all of the signs are that this is an absolute South American star. So if you're getting him for 4.5 million. I've seen numbers slightly higher as well, and then maybe add-ons or whatever. But regardless, this is an excellent price. And as I say, if his name was Mosquera Paulista and he was Brazilian, then you're adding a zero, no doubt. He's a 45 million pound player. So look, I think Nacional, this is for a young Colombian defender coming out of Colombia. You won't get much more than 5 or 6 million at top for Colombia. Colombian teams just can't negotiate the kind of fees that other Argentines or Brazilian clubs can. It's a good question, why? But there we go. It's just historically clubs put a premium on Brazilian talent over Colombian talent. So I think it's a great signing for Wolves. There was talk of City and Bruges and United, and having spoken to scouts from some of those clubs who've been in Colombia, everyone loves Yerson Mosquera. So I think for Wolves, the potential of getting first team football more quickly is probably the key. Now I know the guys who've been working with him, and they very much see his potential as incredibly high. But again, Nacional sold Marlos to Manchester City for a load of money, and then he never played. He was out on loan here and there, and they see that as a mistake. Everyone, that's kind of become a lesson here in Colombia. Don't do a Marlos Moreno, because he's been on loan at 5 clubs and his career's completely disappeared. So to go in perhaps at a lower level, still a huge level, a huge step up, Premier League, but to go to a club where they can perhaps see a route to the first team, I think that was probably the key reason that he's going to Wolves as opposed to City or United or elsewhere in Europe.
I suppose that's sort of half answered my question, because I'm not sure if you're familiar much with some of the dealings at Wolves, but at the moment there's sort of like an affiliate club or clubs where Wolves at the moment are sending a lot of the, especially Portuguese-based players, to Famalicão in the top division of Portugal, or they've got an affiliate club as Grasshoppers in Switzerland. And I think when this rumour first came about, I think I first saw it reported a couple of weeks ago and then more heavily last night. A lot of people were thinking, he's a 20-year-old defender that no one's ever heard of. He's going to be going to one of those teams. But then reports from more reputable journalists this morning, it sounds like he's going to be in and around the first team. Do you think he's got the calibre and the quality to be knocking on the door for first team football this season at Wolves?
Yeah, look, I think he has some work to do. It's a big adaptation. Just generally speaking, for South American defenders, often the defensive lines are far deeper. There's a lot of old central defenders who are still doing a good job in South America because they haven't got the pace, so they sit very deep.
Yeah, got you.
Nacional are a team that have gone through a few big tactical changes. Osorio was the manager who played a very high line and did some interesting things, but also rarely exposed the central defenders at times. And they've now reverted the system to a little bit more conservative. So he's played in a few different systems, which I think is a positive. But he's going to be having to adapt. I know guys who've gone to the Premier League and they'll have an amazing game, but that 30 seconds lapse in concentration and you've conceded a goal. And your man of the match performance has become, you cost us the game. So I know how tough it is to play in the Premier League. But I think, look, his mentality, the fact he's improved physically, technically, mentally, tactically, so much over the last couple of years. The fact that he's so dominant in South America. Look, if Davinson can do it, then Yerson can do it. Because I would say Yerson is as good, at least, as Davinson. Davinson first had that stop-off in Ajax, which again is a huge club, playing at a very high level, before moving to Tottenham. Look, I think Yerson is at least as good as Davinson Sanchez, if not potentially better. So, I think he's going to get to Premier League level if things are treated in the right way, if he gets the right preparation. That could be playing for the U23s for 3 months and then moving to the first team. It could be going abroad on loan. It could be getting straight on the bench. I've seen Leonardo Campana join Wolves and not get the chance, because I was a big fan of Campana as well. I think Yerson has all of the qualities required.
You're like this shirt behind me there then, look.
There we go. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
I remember watching him at the U20 South American Championships, and yeah, he would really impress me. His movement, for me, he looked like a European striker. So I think he's a great acquisition for Wolves, and I think Yerson has all of the qualities. It's my concern with Yerson is nothing to do with his physicality, and really very few concerns on his technical ability. It's just the mental side of things. You go to a new league, everything is quicker, and one thing I can say is Juan Pablo Angel has been constantly drumming it into his head. Look, you can relax and be the best player in Colombia. But Juan Pablo Angel speaks of his own experience going to the Premier League, having been a star at River Plate, and just suddenly realizing, well, this is a different level. Everything is quicker. Everything is more intense. The game is more physical. There's just so many things which are small details when you get used to it, but are things you have to be prepared for. So the physical work he's been doing, and what he's done is, after training, he would go and train with Juan Pablo or train with a personal trainer, not to be the best physical defender in the Colombian league, but to be one of the best physical defenders in the Premier League. And I think that additional preparation, that humility, that mental preparation, that physical preparation, I think everything that could be done has been done to get him to this stage. But there's still going to be an adaptation. There's still going to be fitting into a new system, all that kind of stuff. He's played as part of a back three and a back four as well.
That'd be huge. That's big, actually. Obviously, we don't know how Bruno Lage is going to play, but obviously with Nuno, he did play a back five for large spells in his time at Wolves.
Yeah, so he's played as the right-sided central defender in a back two and a back three. So he's used to kind of drifting across to the fullback role. He's actually really good at dribbling. There was one time I saw him dribble past like 6 players as well. So he's obviously a central defender, but he has some qualities which mean that he can kind of play in a wider area. I wouldn't put him as a right back. He's not going to fly forward. He's a giant, but he could comfortably play as the right-sided centre back in a back three, as well as a right-sided centre back in a back two, in a back four as a centre back as well. So, yeah, as I say, he's a great guy. He's got all of the qualities. He's come from humble beginnings, but has kind of embraced all of these steps in his career. He's been very professional so far. So I think there's lots and lots of positive signs. No issues off the field. Sometimes South American guys, you worry about this and that, but no, he loves his mom. He gets his head down. He's a giggly, friendly kind of guy. He's kind of a very young, kind of at heart off the field, but then he gets on the field and he just absolutely bullies the central defenders. The centre forward, he loves defending as well. That's what I'd say. He's a defender who likes to defend, and was a striker, midfielder, and then central defender, and that's where he found kind of his joy in the game, not scoring the goals, in just bullying the central strikers, and that's what he's done, because he's quicker, he's stronger, and he's got really good mental qualities. Then he just gets an advantage over the forward. So, yeah, I love him. You're gonna enjoy him, I hope.
That's brilliant. Oh, Simon, I really do appreciate all the words on. Is it Yerson? Is that right?
Yerson, yeah. There we go. You'll be the first person in Wolves to get it right.
Yeah. There we go. No, but I'll leave all of Simon's details in the description of the video if you want to check him out on Twitter. If you've got any questions for him, I'm sure he'll try his best to help out. He's done a nice little thread of potentially Wolves' new defender and Bruno Lage's first signing. So, yeah, Simon, I'll leave you to it, and thanks a lot for coming on Talking Wolves.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
So big thanks to Simon once again. I will leave his links if you've got any questions for him, or want a little bit more of an insight onto the possible arrival of Mosquera, then do let him know on his Twitter page. But guys, that is all for today's video. Hopefully you've learned a lot more about Yerson Mosquera, the Colombian centre-back. And fingers crossed he becomes a success at the club, and hopefully we see him do well in the old gold and black. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And until next time, I'll see you all very, very soon.